Welcome to the Blind Rage Podcast. This is Brandon Ford.
And this is Tony the Tiger, the Thunder from Down Under.
And it is September 12th, 2022, and this is the second week of a September of School Scares. And if you are a subscriber to the podcast on one of the podcasting platforms, you are lucky enough to listen to the commentary for the 1981, I think, slasher movie Night School, which YouTube has blocked for whatever reason. I guess copyright infringement. So, since there wasn't anything planned for this week, I decided to do another YouTube exclusive. So this is YouTube exclusive number 2, and I'm calling it Video Trauma. We are not doing a review. What Tony and I are going to be doing is discussing films that affected us or impacted us in a very profound way. These are movies that we either found disturbing or unsettling or got under our skin so much so that we never went back to them again. And for those of you who know me or have seen or have listened to the podcast, you know that I don't watch any of the fucking vomit stuff. I don't watch Lucifer Valentine movies or any of the weird fetish stuff. I don't find that disturbing. I find that disgusting. So no extreme movies, at least not for me. My movie isn't even a horror movie, but we will get to that in a second. But first, I just want to get the plugs quickly out of the way. I'd like to encourage everybody out there to check out my books on Amazon.com by typing in Brandon Ford. I have several titles available in ebook, paperback, and hardcover. You'll also find my author page there. If you prefer audiobooks, I have several titles available on Audible. If you don't already, please follow me on Instagram at writer Brandon Ford. I'm also on both Twitter and Letterboxd at Brandon Ford. Tony is on Letterboxd at Tony_the_bear. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the Blind Rage Podcast YouTube channel. Like this video, like other videos, leave us some comments. Leave us some comments on this video. Let us know. Let us know what movies traumatized you. And be interested to hear some of your experiences with cinema that really got to you. So if you want to leave us some comments, that would be amazeballs. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, suggestions, feel free to email me directly at blindragepod81@gmail.com. Don't forget to visit the Blind Rage Podcast official Facebook page to like and subscribe. And don't forget to check out the Blind Rage Podcast on any of the podcasting platforms and subscribe to us there. And while you're there, please rate and review. So that's that. And for me, this was a no-brainer because there's nothing that I've seen since I've seen this particular movie that affected me as much. So I didn't have to think about it. Tony needed a little bit of time. But he came up with, would he have 2 or 3?
I've got a few, so I'm just going to say what they are.
Okay. Well, we want a story. We want to know exactly how they affected you, what part of them affected you, and why. Okay? Go.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you from the opposite direction. And going through the list of movies that I sort of came up with A lot of them.
Oh, so you're doing
weren't
the least, the one
horror.
that affected you least first, and then you're going to go to the worst.
No, no,
I mean,
no, no,
the third one is
no.
the third
What
one. You going
I'm
3, 2,
gonna
1?
say.
What are you doing? Talk to me. Tell me what's happening.
Okay. So what I found looking at the films is that I get most affected by movies where people will follow like social cues and politeness and be generally good people, but be punished for it in the end. Because I kind of feel that personally, I try to live by that way, where I'll treat people correctly and assume that I'll get that similar treatment in return. The other times, and I think this was just maybe coincidental, I find that some of the movies that had something in common was that the fact of the audience member knows the character has died before the character knows they have died, which is just something that I found interesting in some of the movies that I put down for it.
Okay.
But by way of the politeness causing a problem, one movie that I tried rewatching again was Funny Games, and I say that because I actually quite I like the movie Funny Games. I think that
Are we talking about the original one or the
Yes.
remake? The Austrian.
the Austrian one, yeah. There are people who just like the fourth wall elements to it, and generally, I think people who are fans of the type of movie that it is making a commentary on will not like the movie. Or they will like the movie and realize that that wasn't the director's intention. So despite the there is a lack of violence in the movie. Some of the worst stuff is not seen, but you see the effects of. The scene that I couldn't get past was it's a very early scene where the mother character is has one of the villains come over to the house to get some eggs from them, and then the villain keeps dropping the eggs, and you see the mother character, her politeness gets pushed. And the villain character keeps messing things up, like he drops her phone into water, and you see her holding back, and that is very much something that I do. Is I allow myself to get pushed a bit too far before letting something before expressing my anger. To the point that actually tonight I've got got an appointment to speak to someone about an issue I'm having in my personal life, where I'm been having a problem with a person who's been constantly criticizing me. So I'm actually proud of myself for venting that out later. But enough of that. So the other movie where
Well,
it's
wait a
case
minute.
of-
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Are you able to watch Funny Games still? Are you still able to appreciate it? Or
I
are
am
you
able to appreciate-
too affected by it?
I'm still able to appreciate it. And I have tried rewatching it, but when it got to that scene, I actually thought, no, I can't watch past this point, because it was available on YouTube, so I was watching it on that. And it's just I know the descent that happens after that point, and the steps that are taken are very filmic by way, the first victim is the dog, and that's always going to be the first victim in a thriller. And then the second victim is the child. I'm saying this for people who have seen the movie. The second victim is the child, and that's when the film becomes very meta, and like the villains leave saying, "Oh well, you fucked it up for everyone now. Like, what's going to matter?" and they leave the house. So I don't know where I was going with that, but I enjoy watching it from the perspective of it is something that has become ingrained in me. Is something that I've said to you a few times. Is sometimes the only reason a horror or a thriller is suspenseful is because it's a horror, like you're watching it because of that genre, and if you were just watching it thinking it was a nothing movie, then you'd be like, oh, what the hell's going on here? Like, nothing's happening. It was sort of like when I took my sisters to watch Wolf Creek, and she didn't know what it was about. And the first half of it, well, the first act is kind of boring, you know, and because she didn't realise it was going to be a horror, she asked me, like, in the movie, what are we watching? Like, is this what it's about? And then when it started getting quite gruesome, she got really quite scared by it, so...
Mm-hmm.
Can I go on to the next movie?
If you'd like.
Yes. So the other movie, by way of social cues being punished, and you actually agreed more with the villains in this movie, was the movie Eden Lake. And I think that's because I come from a generation of kids where if I was told off by adults, I wouldn't then go pursuing them and kill them, you know. But I think that one came more about from the fact that I was in a job where I was dealing with some children who were a bit shitheady, and even like adults who are shitheads, and you sort of run with the assumption that let's say if you're working in a supermarket, if you have an adult come in who starts wrecking things up, that they can be subdued, that the police will come if need be and will be taken away. You don't live your life expecting that if you ask them to leave, they're going to come back and kill everyone. You know? There's sort of a expectation when you're living in a world that bad people.
Why do you sound so
out.
uncomfortable?
Well, I'm not a fan of talking, expressing myself. So I've got two more movies to go. So when I was saying when the audience knows the character is dead before they do, that was actually I was thinking about scenes in movies that I found quite confronting. And not movies, and they're movies that I've watched again, and they're fine, but they're just specific scenes. And one of them was in I Spit in Your Grave, in the original, where one of the gentlemen gets his genitals cut in the bathtub. And it's that moment where we as the audience can see the bathtub is now filling up with blood, and then he doesn't realise yet at that point, and then like he's realizes something's gone quite wrong. And also the other one, which is it's a very popcorn movie, was Ghost Ship, was at the beginning when a lot of the characters were killed off and they're sort of just standing there going, oh, what's just happened? And as the audience, you know what's happened. However, the movie that I have not been able to watch again because I found it a bit traumatic was a Australian movie called 237. Okay. And that dealt heavily with suicide. It was quite a sad a movie for how it was structured, and I say that because it was established almost like a murder mystery. And when you do that, you have to really then focus on the motives. Like, so you have many people in quite depressing situations. But the part that forever stuck with me was seeing the person actually kill themselves. And it's a case of, because you know at the beginning that someone has killed themselves, when you see it happening, you know, certainly someone has killed, you know, you're watching someone dying. So that was quite an unpleasant experience. And the last piece of was actually a show, but it left me depressed and sad for a week after watching it. It's a British. It's a very lighthearted. It's not a sitcom, but it's a British drama called Cucumber, and it was season 1, episode 6, and this one really struck me because it's a gay series, and I was very much in a situation that the main characters were in, where one of the characters had become quite non-sexual, while the other one was still wanting some sex. And so the one who wanted sex ended up going out with their boss, like, because they had gotten to a point where they were really feeling quite bad about themselves, and we're kind of attracted to everyone giving them any affection at all. Whereas the boss was a straight acting man. And then, so what happens in this episode is the gay man cracks onto the boss. The boss then, in guilt, grabs a golf driver and cracks his head open. And then the rest of the episode is the character's life up until that point where he dies. And just as I was even researching that episode, because that one struck with me, I actually started tearing at the computer because I just got really upset thinking about it. And even now you can sort of hear me getting a bit emotional about it. So they are my four things that I have not been able to rewatch again. There's a few movies that I can't be fucked to watch again, and that's because I didn't really like them, and they were Irreversible, Salo, and The Devil's Rejects.
Okay. Well, that was a lot of information.
And you now go.
Well, I've been wanting to do Eden Lake, and I was unsuccessful in persuading you to do that for the show.
You can get anyone else to do it. I'm sure there'll be many happy to do it.
Nobody likes me, remember?
Get an enemy to do it with you.
Well, you just made me think of a couple of things. The first one was I did find Midsummer to be incredibly dark the first time I watched it. And because of the way it ends and how grim it is as a piece, I did find myself leaving that movie with an unsavory feeling that I really don't get from many others. And because it's such a good and well-made movie, if I wanted to watch it again. And the second time I watched it, I remember finding myself getting very nervous and uncomfortable because I knew exactly what was going to come. And I think I had to step away from it for a little while before I was able to watch it again. But it didn't shake me to my core. I have been able to watch it since, and I do like it. But it is quite a disturbing movie, and I know that was a very mainstream thing to say, but my number one is going to not be. But another one, and I've mentioned this to you before, that got to me to the point where I was like, I can't take this anymore, and turned it off, was the Belko Experiment. And I just, because of the tone and because of the mean-spiritedness and the just complete disregard for human life, I found it to be very unnerving and at the same time exceptionally well done. So that was why I went back and finished it. I don't think I watched it again after that, but I did want to know exactly what happened. But it is definitely up there in one of the more disturbing movies that I can't see myself watching for enjoyment, as well done as I think it is. My number one movie that, when I was about 14 or 15, we got the Sundance Channel. And for the first time, I started to watch or see movies that were outside of the mainstream movies that you wouldn't see on HBO or even on commercial television. So it was very different. And when I was 15, I was going through the channels one night, and I happened upon a movie called Fun. And it stars Alicia Witt from Urban Legend and Renee Humphrey as the two leads, and William R. Moses is also in it. And it was based on a play that was based on a true story that happened in 1985, I believe. And it concerns these two teenage girls, one's 14, one's 15, and they meet each other in while in juvenile detention. And they bond immediately because they come from such traumatic backgrounds: physical, sexual abuse, not having a strong family environment, or being raised by those who are supposed to take care of them, but instead treat them the way no one should ever treat a child. And this affected them in a very strong mental way, obviously. So they decide what they're going to do is they're going to con their way into someone's home in order to steal their car. And they think that an easy target would be someone elderly. So they go to this community where a lot of people go to retire, condos, and they go to the door to this 85-year-old woman, and one of them fakes a stomach ache. And she says, "My friend's really, really sick. Can we come in? Could you get her a glass of water?" And the old lady is very, very sweet, and she seems to be genuinely concerned for this girl, and she's trying to help her. And they in turn stab her to death. And it's very, very violent, and it was so disturbing that I not only had to turn the TV off, but I remember, this is really revealing. I've told this story before, but I've never told this part of the story before. But I was watching because we had a finished basement with the TV and a couch and everything. And that's where I was watching it. So I had to turn off the TV, and I ran upstairs to my room, and I remember shutting myself in my room, getting into like a fetal position, and just crying, because that scene got to me so badly. Because there's this very kind-hearted woman, and who genuinely wanted to help these girls, and that's what she got in return. And not only were they happy when she died, but they laughed about it, and they made jokes about some of the things that she said to them when they came to their house. And like I said, it was based on a true story, and the title fun comes from when they were arrested ultimately. I don't know how the movie ends because I've never seen it again, and I will never watch it again. Um, but when the girls, in reality, the real girls, when they were picked up, one of them kept a diary, and in her entry for that day when she went home, she wrote, I forget what the other girl's name was. I think her name was Cindy. Um, Today, Cindy and I killed an old lady. It was lots of fun.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that movie, and that being why the title was what it came from.
Yeah. So in preparation for this episode, I did research what happened to them, and one of them, I guess, is rehabilitated and has tried to live her life on the straight and narrow, and the other has continued to get into trouble. I don't know if she's committed other crimes,
Yeah,
but she has been, I mean, other murders, but she
yeah,
has committed other crimes, and she's been arrested several times. One got 11 years in juvenile detention, and the other got 12 years in juvenile detention. And in the movie, it's told, a lot of it's told in flashback because it's the present is in black and white and the past is in color. And I knew what happened. I'm pretty sure why they were there. And I think it was just I can't again I can't remember. I've only seen it one time, but I think I knew that they committed a murder, and that's why they were being held in juvenile detention. I just didn't know that it was an elderly woman.
yeah.
And I think if I did know that, I probably wouldn't have watched the rest of it. Um, so yeah, and I think it might have been a day or two later. I was flipping through the channels, and I saw a shot of Renee Humphrey in the detention center because it was on again, and it freaked me out. Like I immediately changed the channel. I was like, I can't. Um, so being 41 now, I have no idea how I would react to it, especially knowing what happened in the movie, and having experienced it already. There's a good chance that I probably wouldn't find it as deeply effective as I did then. And I'm sure there are others who probably won't find it as effective or unsettling or unnerving or disturbing as I did. Um, but personally, I don't want to take that chance.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So
that
it
is
actually sounds like we have similar underlying
yeah.
dislikes,
I was thinking that. Yeah.
where someone being quite polite and compassionate for someone gets punished for it, and also even if it did reveal it, the audience knowing that someone's going to die.
Yes. Well, I think what really aside from the murder was the compassion and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
empathy of this woman that she showed for these girls who she'd never seen or met before. And one of them said she felt ill, and she was trying everything she could do to remedy that, and offering this and that, or I can make you a cup of tea. That's what I do when my
for an
stomach is upset.
Alka-Seltzer. Yeah,
That kind of thing. And her kindness, I think, was really what made it all the more tragic.
well, it was sort of like I I'll be able to watch this one again, but I felt sorry for the mother in Heavenly Creatures because I felt she
That
was.
I was going to. I'm glad you said that because I told the story, an expurgated version of the story, to someone once, and she recommended Heavenly Creatures to me,
Yeah,
and I had never heard of it, and I did watch it. I don't know why I was taking a big chance on that one. I didn't find it as effective because the mother was kind of a villain in that she was keeping them apart.
yeah. It was told from that perspective. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because I was thinking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre this morning, because I always remember a review talking about the remake, and the female reviewer was saying that she remembered the original had gotten banned not because of its violence, but because of its dreadfulness. It was and that was more what the government was trying to protect people from when they censored it. And I think that in regards to Fun versus Heavenly Creatures, Fun had that dread to it that's quite really makes you feel quite uncomfortable
Oh,
inside.
you've
Whereas
seen Fun.
I have a long time ago, but I hardly remember it because I feel like the cover was similar to the one for kids, and it was sort of around the similar time.
Fun was 94. I think Kids was 96.
Okay.
Um, I didn't really care for Kids.
I
Kids was
still
a
don't.
little too real for me
Oh,
because
well.
it
Was
was
it
like
set in Philadelphia?
I knew these kinds of kids. I went to
Yeah.
school with these kinds of kids. Um, you know, so I didn't, and I didn't particularly like them.
Mm.
So I didn't want to watch a movie that was centered around them.
Mm. Well, has the director made anything else that you've seen?
Not that not that I know of, actually.
Okay.
I don't even remember the name of the director. I think it was directed by a woman.
Yeah.
Um, um, I don't know, but I know that the movie did get some accolades when it came out, and as did Alicia Witt and Renee Humphrey for their performances.
I wish Alicia Witt got on to did more. Like, I liked her as an actress.
I did enjoy her in Urban Legend and when she was on Sybil.
Yeah, I
That
enjoyed
was
Sybil
a very fun show.
with Christine Baranski, wasn't it?
Baranski, yes.
Baranski, sorry. I'm just
Yes.
looking at
And
fun now.
as someone once said, had Christine Baranski not, I can't remember her character's name, but had there not been a Christine Baranski on Sybil, there would not have been a Karen Walker.
Oh, okay. That's
Very,
interesting.
very
I
similar characters.
do you reckon that Christine was also influenced slightly by Ab Fab?
Probably,
I used to like a show
but
called
diet Abfab. She wasn't as
yes,
bad
yeah,
as they
yeah,
were.
yeah. So the director's done a few other things, but nothing really of note. He's a
Oh, it was a
Quebish.
man.
It's a Quebecois.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
because I think it was a French Canadian.
He's still directing. He did a movie called Tiger Within in 2020.
Mm.
Well, that was an interesting insight into your brain and into mine as well.
I think so. Well, if you guys agree, please leave us a comment. Tell us what you thought of this particular subject. And again, if you have any movies of your own that have affected you so deeply, please let us
Any
know.
traumatizing movies you'd like us
Any,
to watch?
yeah, well, I don't know if I'm going to watch them.
Nothing with vomit. Brandon
No,
is
no
like,
vomit. And yeah. And I've never seen, fucking Cannibal Holocaust because, well, that one I just refuse to watch because I refuse to watch movies with animal cruelty.
oh, okay. I have seen Cannibal Holocaust a long time ago, but I'm quite sure.
And I know that they have since made an edited version where they remove the scenes.
I still want you to watch Bad Boy Bubby, but you think that.
I actually tried to watch it. I don't think I was able to get into it because I thought it was just kind of amateurish.
Oh, okay.
But I will watch the whole thing. If I watched that one movie, I watched that one movie that you told me about that I thought was kind of fucked up. About the couple, Hounds of Love.
I didn't tell you about it, but you told me, I still have to watch that one.
I thought you told me about it.
I might have mentioned it, but I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, that one was pretty fucked up. Okay. Well, unless you have anything you'd like to add.
Let's go watch something fun.
Oh my god.
Oh, I didn't mean it like that. I meant like something to enlighten the spirit. No.
Freudian slip, we'll say.
Yes.
Okay, well, I just want to say thank you to Tony for allowing us a window into his psyche.
I apologize for my monotone while I'm talking about my
No, you
movies
were
that
fine.
traumatized
You
me.
just were a little too nervous giggly.
It's like, yeah.
So,
I'm like an unsexy onion.
okay. So, yeah, and to everyone listening on YouTube, don't forget to go to the podcasting platform of your choice. It's we're the Blind Rage podcast is on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, anywhere Anchor. Yeah, I think Spotify is easiest for most people. I'd like to get on Audible. I wonder how you do that. But yeah, so go check out the Blind Rage podcast on any of the podcasting platforms and listen to the Night School episode. And yes, a September of school scares will continue next week. So until then, this is Brandon Ford wishing you all unpleasant dreams.